Sigibum, Pagu, Begin, Kazue, as well as Lunar. And let me just remind everyone here.
Early phase.
And speaking of that mid trio, right, just overall, laning phase for the whole team is important, right? Because it's Nets against Sigiboom. They might not get the better.
Assassins.
Yeah, I mean, Cho's open. I think S2G approaches this really well, though. Being on blue side, they get to target ban, they get to free up some things, and they leave a lot of trades open. Jushin, Cho, Yves, so many things up on the field. Tro does get picked up front. Vamos pick up the Hayabusa quickly. I mean, a little bit too early. I mean, we have seen it work. We saw one shot pick it up early yesterday, did great. So, I mean, Hayabusa's starting to make his way back in. This could be a decent pick for an aggressive Vamos.
Okay, a lot to unpack for this one. First of all, Valentina.
No smiling.
Sorry, no smiling, of course. A mage mid laner has been brought back, and I kind of feel like I see where you're coming in, Trex, but maybe this is one of those situations where it's not too early to pick up your jungler, because the Suyo has been banned, the Alpha has been banned, but more importantly, the Hilda has been banned. So not a lot of aggression unless S2G picks up the Khalid here. If they pick up the Khalid, they can potentially deal with the Hayabusa, but they pick up the Eve as well as the Hylos.
That's a lot of zone control there for S2G. And I mean, we haven't seen Vamos reveal what kind of frontline heroes they want to use just yet.
The Gato's still open.
So I don't know, yeah, the Gatot is still open, but at least they have some ways to deal with it. The Terrify is there, so they have some means to actually deny the aggression so far from S2G. But behind the IGN, speaking of Warlord, who picked up the Valentina immediately.
Yep, Warlord chose his IGN because he imagined that if he met the in-game Lord in real life, he would go, wow, Lord. So it's kind of like, oh, wow, Lord.
Yeah, so he's not,
no smiling.
Gotcha.
No smiling.
We got the glue pick. Glue pick's been this EXP laner that has been spiking itself into the meta recently, becoming more and more popular. And I think it helps deal with things like the Hylos, helps deal with sometimes things like the Hilda, which is not here.
Could also
I think
be a
overall, yeah, it's just a solid over-round. It does zoning, it can hold its own in the EXP lane, it has crowd control. It is this hero that has just kind of taken the meta by storm recently. In terms of ban, on the other hand, Vamos, I mean, S2G kind of takes that risk of not picking up a jungler, but I think it was a good play overall because as Brigida said, they get so much control with these three picks right here. And there's, with the Suyo and the Alphagon, there's plenty of assassins to pick up still. There's plenty of options for me,
Nets has been performing only on the Harif. So if the Harif does get banned here, it's going to be pretty tough. Nets have one. He has one pick that is not good in this patch, but that's his go-to, which is the carry.
Yeah, the carry and the Claw, it's mostly just really the Harith and the carry for Nets. And so far, I mean, I think it would fare well against the first 2 or 3 picks that are shown to us here by S2G, the Harith and the Cho, but they have to really be careful of the zone control that S2G can actually provide whenever there is a team fight. I mean, yeah, they have the glue, and it's also a nice pickup, as you mentioned, because S2G, they've already revealed their potential mid and their XP and roam so far, so they already know what's going to happen in terms of the matchup. I like how they're keeping Nets heroes still hidden because they really need to kind of make sure it kind of falls into his favor.
So what do we think we see here from S2G in terms of jungle? I mean, they go for something like the Nolan, the throwback to the Nolan or something.
Joy is still open.
Joy is also still open, definitely a possibility. They could go for something tankier. I feel like Joy's the most solid, right? Especially with the lineup they already have.
Yeah.
If S2G wants to go for a high carry marksman, then they can still pick up something like the Beatrix and then the Fredrin if they want. But yeah, I do feel like the Joy is in the conversation for it. Oh, wait, Nolan!
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, Nolan's a possibility for sure. We know how aggressive it can be early. With a Cho and the possibility once you're level 4, you start getting some pickoffs. It is dangerous. Vamos still need a roam and a marksman. You mentioned the carry. I mean, the Beatrix is still open. There's still plenty of options. A lot of possibilities. He could go for, I mean, we even see things like the 1-1 pop in. We see the Aerith pop in. Jawhead roam?
Jawhead roam for sure, because the thing about Zoran is he's a catch specialist. Honestly, when it comes to the setup, he does hesitate every once in a while, but when it comes to catches, immediately defend. Oh my god, how did we not notice the fanny?
Because it's banned all the time.
Why did we not notice the fanny? Oh my goodness. Now whether Nats wants to or not, he might have to consider the Moscow.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best potential picks he can go after.
What about a Brody?
We haven't seen much. I think we haven't seen the Brody at all.
Yeah, but if you're going up against an assassin, Moscow or Brody, that's the traditional answer.
Yeah, I mean,
and Bruno, but Bruno has been banned.
Yeah,
and Brody does pack a punch. He can kind of maybe get away. We'll see. Beatrix gets locked in for S2G. I think the Moscow is the more solid pick, but I'm not completely against the idea of the Brody. It's a big risk. It is game 1.
It is game 1.
It is game 1.
The range is there.
Go for something like, what about like Melissa or something? I don't know, to deny die from the Cho and the.
Wait, what's that?
Carry.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, this is Vamos basically trusting their instinct as well as comfort.
Yep.
Whether it works or not, again, this is a best.
To advance to the knockouts for the side of S2G to fulfill the promise of Sigibum to his brother that one team from Turkey will advance, and for Vamos, the hometown heroes, to make Malaysia proud.
We're going to see if they can do that as we load up. A lot on the line here. Of course, the home team, one of the hopes of Malaysia on the line against the champions, S2G from Turkey. We load up into it. It's a best of 3, and we get off to game number 1. Now let's bring it to a close here to start things off already. The draft is said and done. And there's a couple new things that we're going to see this time around, Ingan.
Yeah.
Number 1, 2, Nets is actually bringing out the carry to this game to take us through here. So interestingly enough, but also before that, we got to invite you guys watching right now, the M6 Pass, it's now available. There's a whole lot you guys can grab. You can hit level 75 for free all the way, and you can get Claude's Battle Emote, the M6 Glory Avatar. Zorn's taking a couple of damage, and also the new special skin. Don't forget that Dauntless Shield for free.
And looking at the two lineups, you know that they're going to battle it out for mid control. Again, S2G Esports, we know their play style. Give a lot of space for Sigibum, the Turkish trigger man, to get enough farm, dominate his laning phase, and eventually, like Brigido mentioned, play around the fact that they have a Beatrix that could go all in against Team Vamos. And for Team Vamos, I like that they're resulting to a much more balanced lineup right now with Warlord having a Valentina.
No, they got the Valentina. I think one of the big questions, too, is the matchup in the jungle. You know, like, dealing with the jungle, we've seen a couple Fannies so far. You know, one that sticks out specifically, obviously, from one shot. But this time in the hands, this matchup is going to be a classic. The Fanny and the Hayabusa. Something that definitely a lot of people love to watch and unfold, but it also comes with a sense of risk. You know, you got to be able to go ahead, secure more so for the Fanny here, the purple buff, play around it. And I'm wondering if Team Vamos will actually put pressure there, or if they kind of take a step back, because honestly, so far from what we've seen, they like to take chances, they like to take some risks, and sometimes they get punished for that.
Yeah, and previously, the games of Team Vamos, they're used to controlling the early game. They're aggressive, but the thing is, two teams have already used that aggression up against them to their advantage, though why Team Vamos can't seem to close things down for themselves. And looking at the lineup, Nets actually has the tenacity. So in terms of, you know, a rotation coming in from Kazue, if ever they go in and try to go for the gold lane, that tenacity could really be a big help for Nets later on.
Starting up the turtle here. Team Vamos going to keep things together. Warlord does have that glorious pathway available to him. As they get they take this very slowly. They did have to wait for Chibi. He's going to make his way. He's got both buffs too. Lunar on the whim. They're actually going to engage.
Another ejector coming in from Soren. The first one actually to take down Begin, but S2G, they want to fight it out.
Oh, they're going to have to break it out. Lunar's in trouble. They're going to jump back in.
What a cutthroat play to bring down Chibi. Now Team Vamos, they still have the numbers here. Split coming in from Smooth. They might want to go for Pagu, but the damage might be enough though. Here comes the Revitalize. Soren throws him out.
He gets thrown out. Here he comes. Kazue though. Pagu's already gone. They get the kick. Lunar on Zorn, but they're in trouble. Still waiting for time. RWM comes down. Smooth gets a double.
And here comes the Smooth pick, the glue. Trex actually mentioned this a while ago, that in terms of picking this glue, ideally, it's going to disrupt the rotation of S2G, trying to be a thorn in the neck of the lineup. But in this case, he's actually picking up the kills. Assuming that Chibi was taken down, you thought that they weren't able to take this turtle away, but with the help of Smooth, along with Soren's two crucial ejectors, they were able to take the lead by taking down a turtle as well.
At least in that sense, Kazue did get a kill. You know, at least he gets a little bit of gold in his pocket, but ultimately that was such a drawn-out objective take. And this is the power of the Jawhead. They go in.
Unstoppable Force plus the Ejector. They'll have their own glorious pathway to try and break down Pagu. 4 members are ganging up. Here comes Kazue with the steel cables, but Pagu's the one first man down.
Lunar jumps in, gets the kick. Chibi's out of the picture. A good setup once again in the mid lane. They got to disengage. Lunar could be in trouble now. Taking a couple of shots. They set up with the RWM. And now Sigibum might actually be trying to get the shot out, but it looks like they're just going to back off.
Luckily, Lunar was able to escape that thanks to Begin's real-world manipulation. That was the signal for Team Vamos to let's not overextend. Let's learn from our mistakes the previous games. If we have the lead, we have to hold on to it. We can't give S2G Esports an opportunity to turn things around, because right now their aggression of Team Vamos is actually calculated. It's not over-diving, over-committing.
Yeah.
This time, it's all about discipline, and Kazue goes in with the steel cables, but the cutthroat might actually be able to save this, but Kazue, with the fast hands, takes down the tankiest hero of Team Vamos.
That's what you call confidence here, Ingon. 3-0 now. Got enough to go ahead and just visit a lane, get a kill, and get out. Especially when he's buffed up. You know, that's great for him. Also, you can see this. Kazue is going to pick up that War Axe. He's got that available. Nets and Sigiboom both have just relatively been pretty chill. You know, farming up in the lane. BOD now picked up here for Sigiboom. The power spikes are going to come in. And look at that push also. Playing on that macro level again. They might try to set things up here on the top.
Again, Soren with a beautiful ejector. Pagu has time to use the glorious pathway. Here comes Kazue though.
There's the kick again. Lunar's been on point. Look for Chibi, but he's going to get stopped in his tracks. They're in trouble.
Sigiboom! And they take down Lunar and Kazue, but Sigiboom picks up a kill of his own, trying to bring down Chibi, and a shutdown there coming in from Smooth. That was a quick response once again from Team Vamos.
Still in the mid lane, focusing down the turret. Pagu is going to try to do much here alongside the help. They hold on to the mid lane turret, but they will lose that buff. And now the fact that the turtle's up, Team Vamos will make their way. But notice, you know, all this action here, Ingon, has led us to essentially an even game. You know, nothing too crazy in terms of economy building up. But what you do have to pay attention to is how many turrets start to fall at this point. You know, S2G did get that bottom one down, and it looks like they might be trying to get some more here. But right now, the focus objectively is the turtle. If they can secure it, Lunar's been doing so much work, man, to get the setups with the kick, and it's a little bit more difficult for him in comparison to Zorn. Zorn, for the most part, just goes in with the Unstoppable Force and just tosses someone in the air, whereas Lunar's got to be a little more finesse with it as they approach this turtle here.
Okay, here comes the clash. Glorious Pathway is there, but Chibi gets the turtle. Will they go for it? Zorn, look at the Unstoppable Force, but Kazue manages to turn things around and use the cutthroat and steel cables to bring down Raja Emote, but Team Vamos will secure that turtle.
That's a feels bad, you know? I mean, when you lock in with that ultimate from the Jawhead, that Unstoppable Force, you can't help it, but you're going to travel with them. It's still going to be used. Lunar, I'm not sure if he's going to find anything here. Warlord's pretty much safe at this point, and they back off. You know, that's one of the prices you pay for picking the Jawhead, but nonetheless, Zorn's been doing work, like I mentioned, alongside the opposite roamer here in Lunar. And as they approach this point of the game, obviously those pickoffs are going to pay a part, but essentially this is where we start to see that shift also for the gold laners to start to shine. You can already see it too. Both gold laners having a kill for themselves. You saw the Malefic Gun also being picked up by Sigiboom recently. And so the damage profiles are going to be there for those gold laners. Nets, he's still working, I believe, on his third item. He's got Golden Staff and Corrosive Scythe. So he's pretty much nearly there. He's going to be in a good position to go ahead and fight this Lord when it does come up. They still have some time, you know, less than a minute to build up to here. Be great for either team, too, if they can actually focus down. Oh, no.
Sword Ejector plus the throw on to begin gets deleted in the mid lane.
Wow.
Surrounded by 5 members of Team Vamos, and they made quick work of that mid lane turret.
As I was about to say, if they could get one of the mid turrets down, that'd be great. And it's Team Vamos that does it off the play from Zorn. So now buff's going to be secured. Still finding some time for themselves. S2G, though, taking a look quickly at the items before we get to that next big fight. You can see it, Glowing Wand already locked in here for Eve for Begin, and then building into it. You know, you're not too tanky yet for Pagu. He doesn't have a completed item. He's kind of going, you know, that mixed up build, chop suey build, if you will.
Yeah.
Eventually getting to the point where he will have those items, but he's mostly relying on the fact that you just kind of go in, tank things up, drop down, and revitalize in Glorious Pathway. And so far, building into it, we've seen a lot of the times where Warlord takes that Glorious Pathway alone. So you have this interesting fight for both teams on how they can utilize cutting people off or slowing people down. And this is what I was talking about, the pressure on the buffs.
Okay.
It's going to start up.
Okay, coming in from Lunar, plus the real world manipulation. They have their Glorious Pathway of their own. Soren's the first man down. But Timmy goes in with a Wiki Shadow Kill's going to take down one more. And Smooth with a split to bring down a Pagu. Team Vamos once again, they're controlled and calculated. Aggression back as Zoe goes in. Steel cables might not be enough to give him flickers in, but targets the wrong man. He tries to take down Smooth. Team Vamos! That was an unfortunate event for Sigiboom. Locks onto Smooth instead of Chibi. Oh no, it's not looking good for the Turkish Kings.
A big mistake from Sigiboom himself. Goes in, flickers in, and gets punished, and now all of that might result in a Lord unless something can be done. S2G, they want to get a position for it. Slowly but surely gonna approach the fight.
Okay, Pagu, just casting a glorious pathway to make sure Team Vamos doesn't continue with the regression. There was an attempt to go for that Lord for Kazue, but the thing is, S2G, they don't want to risk anymore. Again, they have a lot of outer turrets still. In terms of clear wave potential, they still have Sigiboom with the Baytrix that could easily burst down the first Lord right away. So S2G Esports, they still have an opportunity here to not let Team Vamos maximize the first Lord.
This is
they
why
can safely do so.
This is why, man, like, the Valentina is always a good pick. It's always like a priority too, not only for the fact that you take ultimates, but the Terrify mechanic could actually be pretty devastating in certain situations, you know? So now they play around this Lord, march into the mid lane, a Warlord still holding on to a glorious pathway. They do deal with it, but they're trying to keep this buff together. This might break out in the fight if they're not careful. Smooth, popping the split. Net's cutting that wave there on the bottom side, wants to push into that tier 2, and Zorn just around the corner, not wanting to toss up Pagu, of course. Ice Queen Wand now pick up for Big and 2. That's gonna be helpful for them when they set things up with the real world manipulation, but right now they kind of just have to hold on the best they can, buckle up. Lunar getting a check, they're gonna go in.
Oh, glorious pathway plus the real world manipulation, but Team Vamos, 5 members are still here. Kazue though tried to go for Nets, but the problem is Nets was surrounded by a lot of members from Team Vamos, and Kazue trying to look for a proper angle and catch Team Vamos off guard.
This is it looks like they want to fight. It looks like Lunar's like, guys, I'm gonna go in for a kick. We know the conceal's gone. We know there's no unstoppable force.
Oh, they commit! They commit! Sigiboom burst it down, Smooth! That's 1 member down for Team Vamos. And that was a well worth it trade for S2.
Advantage for S2G to go ahead and push on these sides of the map. Even the mid turret, it looks like they're gonna go for a Warlord.
Oh, they're gonna try and pushing out Warlord. Glorious pathway, Kazue onto the We're able to take down a mid lane turret, but that might not be worth it for Team Vamos right now. Because just look at the aggression, just look at the push, just look at the throw!
They're gonna have to get away. Kazue has a couple spin wheels on him. He's burning, but he'll get back to base. And they hold on the best they can in the defense. Still 2 members down, they'll come up. He's gonna lose his purple buff. Whew, Team Vamos, man, they don't wanna let up here.
Discipline, again for Team Vamos, calculated plays, and at the same time, I don't recall when was the last time Kazue had his purple buff. Because 10 minutes in, 9 minutes in, Team Vamos was already able to take down a mid lane turret. That's why they were able to camp out, but the kick from Lunar!
Again, a kick. Chibi, the target, the perfect one. S2G is able to find, and now, is this the chance? Is this the opportunity for the Lord to be open here? Lunar still checking things out. Zorn, though.
Okay, Pagu just trying to soak up the damage to Glorious Pathway. Kazue goes in, cutthroats onto Nets, but Nets with the tenacity, able to out-sustain. Smooth going for the backline with a split. Manages to get onto Sigiboom. And Nets just trying to do the free hit, though. Surrounded by 4 members of S2G. Here comes the counter-attack from Team Vamos!
They get the flicker out. Kazue is back, but Nets will pick up the killing spree. And they pushed in the wave a little bit longer. Kazue will try to keep it at bay, but now, Lord, it's going to be started up by Team Vamos. The back and forth between both teams so far, Ringon, has been intense, just as much as the series has. But that'll be an objective secured. Zorn trying to stop Kazue, toss him up with the injector, and here he comes. Chibi to pick up the kill.
A purple buff attempt for Kazue resulted to a Team Vamos Lord takedown, plus a kill onto him as well as Team Vamos on the push. They have minions onto the top and onto the middle lane.
They're gonna march in. Top turret going down, mid as well. Lord will make its way here as they get all base turrets down. Getting ready for the end here. Team Vamos in position, full forced and ready to go. You have Warlord with the Glorious Pathway. Causeway almost up. They're going to try to delay this as long as they can. And here's the response.
Here comes the ejector plus the Glorious Pathway. Kazooie doing his best to try and defend, but Team Vamos focusing on the crystal. They have the real world manipulation. A kill onto Bagu, a kill onto Lunar. Team Vamos locks on the crystal, and they will take game 1 away from the Turkish Kings.
Team Vamos. The back and forth, back and forth. It's never been closer for them, and they take the first blood in the series, this best of 3. What a performance from both teams, but this time around, Team Vamos came together. Zorn threw the right targets. Both roamers, man, on point, really. But this time around, Team Vamos will get it done. Let's throw it over to the panel to break down game number 1.
MVP of the game, and it's going to be Warlord on that Valentina. 50 really did throughout the game, where as a mid laner, so this is in a way him playing the mid lane, but he still plays a tank.
Yeah, and I mean, this is how Team Vamos was able to play against the Fanny. To think that their only major lockdown was really just the Jawhead, and we've seen some overextensions with the Unstoppable Force from time to time, but they were just able to time their skills so well, those crucial skills so well, that even when Kazooie did attempt to go in for the team fights, as long as they were together, they just knew how to juggle their skills in order for Kazooie not to have a great time.
Yeah, you know, I love how you said he almost played a tank, because it also pairs up even more with getting those cooldowns, taking the cooldown emblem, taking the cooldown boots, just the whole deal. He's able to use his skills more. He's able to get more terrified. He was a beautiful peeler for the team, and then taking that Glorious Pathway, like what we just saw during that S2G's purple buff, he essentially nullifies some of the effects of the enemy RWM, right? He essentially nullifies some of that, so they can actually move freely in these fights.
Yeah, and of course we got to highlight the real tank of Vamos, Lord Smooth.